Section 4.5 in our book talks about two other ways to prove triangles congruent. The first one is called the angle-angle side theorem, which says if two angles and the non-included side of one triangle are congruent to the two angles and the non-included side of another, then the triangles are congruent. So it looks like here. Now this is closely related to the angle-side angle that we've already done, which is where we had two triangles where the side that was congruent was between the sets of congruent angles, like this. But this is where we have the side not included between the two sets of congruent angles, and we say the angle-angle side theorem. Before, we could easily have proved that these were congruent by angle-side angle, because if two angles of one triangle are congruent to two angles of another, the third angles have to be congruent. So this saves us a step if we're doing a proof. And that's angle-angle side theorem. Next, we have the HL theorem, which stands for hypotenuse leg theorem. And this says if the hypotenuse and a leg of one triangle are congruent to the corresponding parts of another, then the triangles are congruent. So this only works if we have right triangles, so we need these right angles here. And we have the hypotenuse and one leg. We have the hypotenuse and one leg. So these two are congruent by the HL theorem. So to sum up, we have 5 ways now to prove triangles congruent. Side, 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 angle, and angle, side, angle were the first 3 we did. And now we have angle, angle, side, and HL. Just for some examples here, we see we have 2 triangles here, and we try and find a reason that they're congruent. And we might say, all right, we have some vertical angles here. And with those vertical angles, we've got the right angle, these vertical angles, and then a side. The side's not between the 2 angles, so they're congruent by angle, angle, side. Okay. The next one here, when we look at these two, we might say, all right, well, we've got the right angle, and this side here is congruent to itself. And there's actually more than one way to do this one. If you say the side's congruent to itself, we're looking at hypotenuse leg, or you can't do angle, side, side. However, some people might look at the whole triangle and see an isosceles triangle with congruent base angles. And then we'd prove these triangles congruent by angle, angle, side. I'd actually accept either way if it were me. This is probably the first way I'd go. I'd go for hypotenuse leg. This next one, we may have one side congruent to itself here, reflexive. So the 2 triangles we could say are congruent by side, angle, side. We also have angle, angle, side. We also have angle, side, angle. So this one, there's more than one way to prove them congruent, which happens a lot of times. And there's one last way. See if you can figure out what the last way we can use is. Is it side, side, side? Are these sides marked congruent? No. So the only thing left is hypotenuse leg. The reason it's hypotenuse leg is we have the right angle here, so we have right triangle. There's the hypotenuse right here. And they both share it, so they both have hypotenuse congruent and one leg congruent. So these are congruent by HL also. So this one, any one of these is acceptable. That's the end.